Good morning, everyone. My name is Anoshka Fernandez, and I am proud to be a strategic advisor within the Alberta-India Chamber of Commerce's executive team and the moderator for today's webinar. We are so grateful for the overwhelmingly positive response we have received since the formal launch of our chamber in August 2025, including for this monthly webinar series, which began in September. In the lead up to India Energy Week 2026, the Alberta-India Chamber of Commerce is presenting this three-part series of informational webinars focused on the energy sector. Welcome to the inaugural edition, and we are focused today on the hydrogen subsector. We've invited this morning several key leaders from this sector to come and share their experience about this important topic, to start thinking by business leaders in both Alberta and India about how we can build a stronger Alberta-India bridge. We have scheduled 60 minutes for this morning's chat, and we are eager to hear from many people. So I'm just going to quickly outline the ground rules so everyone knows how this is going to work. All participants have been muted by our meeting host. Questions can be inputted into the chat feature at any time, and I will do my best to get through all of them at the end of the session. Each speaker has been allotted 6 minutes of speaking time to provide us with their thoughts on various aspects of hydrogen-related technology or opportunity. When they have 2 minutes left in their time, they will see a pop-up that is private to them on their screen. When they have 1 minute left in their time, my face will come back on screen as a visual cue to kindly start to wrap up remarks. We thank everyone for their cooperation to stay within their allocated time limits so that we can ensure all of our speakers have a chance to make their points. With that, I'd now like to introduce our Chamber President, Mr. Anupam Srivastav. Anupam, the floor is yours.
Good morning, Anushka. Thank you. And am I audible? Am I audible?
You're very quiet. Are you able to turn up your volume?
I thought I am. Just a second. Am I audible now? Better? Perfect. Welcome all, and thank you, Anushka, for a great start. I would like to welcome all the distinguished guests from the government, diplomatic and corporate sector who have joined us in this webinar. Of course, energy seems to be the top of the house when it comes to the industry sectors, and it becomes for more paramount importance for as we all are preparing for the India Energy Week coming up in Goa between the 26th and the 30th of January. And we are also taking some delegates, so this webinar has got many folds to understand that why it is important, and then breaking up these webinars into several subsectors within the energy, starting from hydrogen, going to many other energies, which is the carbon, and talking about the LNG, LP, and all that. Look out for more posts from us. In the delegation, we want to really take our representatives from Alberta and bring them in front of all the government, diplomatic and industry sectors, the corporate, and also arrange some site visits to manufacturing plants. This is the objective, as this is very important that we have to understand the regions very, very well. I wanted to thank all my colleagues here who have worked very hard to arrange this webinar. This is a three-part webinar starting this month, December, and then one in January. With that said, I really wanted to welcome you all and have a great time today and build up towards what the great talks have already started between India and Canada at all levels, and our Premier is doing such a good job in also holding great talks interprovincial, also with Mark Carney. So of course, great time of the year when we all are working towards the same objective. So let's have a great start. Thank you, Anushka.
Thank you, Anupam. Next on the agenda, we did have scheduled Mr. Vitor Marciano from the Office of the Honorable Brian Jean, Alberta's Minister of Energy and Minerals, but I don't see him. Mr. Marciano, are you on and I just can't see you? Okay, he may be running a bit late, so we'll perhaps introduce him when he's able to join. So we are going to start with our first speaker. I just want to make sure, Mr. Frank, are you on the call? Mr. David Frank? I'm not seeing your name
On
either.
the call, yes. Thank you.
Oh, okay, perfect. Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
I did send you some
It's my pleasure to kick
slides.
off the
Yeah.
formal presentations today, and our first speaker is Mr. David Frank, the founder and president of Solversa. Mr. Frank specializes in renewables, environment, alternative fuels, and power sources with significant experience and skills in product development, research and development, operations, manufacturing, and many other sectors. In 2024, he launched Solvarsa Incorporated, where his background in technology development, commercialization, and supply chain expertise are at work impacting numerous client businesses across the globe focused on clean technology. Mr. Frank, welcome to the webinar. The floor is now yours.
Thank you. I had some slides. Would I be able to present them? Can I share my screen? Is that okay?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Let me just pull those up. I believe you can all see that now. I would first of all like to thank all the organizers for inviting me here today. I really appreciate it. It's a great initiative you guys have going on here, and as you mentioned, timely due to India Energy Week coming up in the early part of next year. First of all, I'd just like to introduce myself. Um, Again, I'm David Frank, the founder of Solversa. I have about 30 years in industry, about 28 years in electrochemistry and various types of um, stack technologies, fuel cells, electrolyzers, and different types of electrochemical cells, including more novel ones like CO2 electrolyzers and hydrogen oxygen fuel cells, which can be used in underwater or outer space applications. I also have extensive experience in e-fuels, e-chemicals in the last few years, working at a startup in California specializing in that area. And I've launched numerous products around fuel cells, water electrolyzers, manufacturing lines for components, including bipolar plates and MEAs, as well as certified numerous products for North American and European markets. I started my company about 1 year ago. I'm focused on supporting companies through the two areas. The first area is an advisory consultancy where I support a lot of startup companies traveling through the valley of death from the lab to commercialization, which I did a number of times at Hydrogenics in my last company, 12. So these are various companies around the world, different types of clean tech. As I mentioned, electrolyzers, carbon transformation technologies, and other very interesting technologies that are up and coming. I work in a fractional, very engaged basis, all the way to a very light touch kind of board advisor, executive advisor type of role. Another area of my business is where I support manufacturers. Again, I'm working with some global manufacturers to help them expand their products around the world from Asia to North America and Europe, and actually also going vice versa to support companies back into Asia. So I see this as an opportunity in India for me to help open doors for companies into and out of India. So in this case, I am working with the sales teams or the business development teams. I do also provide them with technical support and product and business support since I have extensive experience as one of their customers in my past lives. So that's really what I'm focused on today. Some of the things that I've worked on in the last year include technology and product development activities for my clients, including a number of different new electrochemical stack designs, as well as product roadmaps and planning. I've also helped them enhance their supply chains through various activities, introducing them and broadening their supply chains, ensuring that they're ready for that next stage, whether it's pilot or the initial phases of commercialization. Also supported them on finding key talent for their organizations, whether that's people from my network or helping them through the interview process. And I've also supported some of the companies with their strategic initiatives to get them through next raises of fundraising, or also to help them with their exit strategy. So today we're here to talk about opportunities between Alberta and India. I mean, this is my personal opinion, but I see a lot of opportunities, starting with collaboration around universities, institutes, and businesses through both countries. I think there's an opportunity to jointly develop technology, but also to license existing technology. I think from a Canada to India perspective, and especially Alberta, there's lots of opportunity for traditional energy, but also new energy, hydrogen, green hydrogen or blue hydrogen, also derivatives of hydrogen, including ammonia and methanol, e-fuels like sustainable aviation fuel, and also e-chemicals like bio or e-based plastics. And then I also see a lot of opportunity with Canadian companies to partner with Indian companies. We've done a lot of trailblazing activity here around fuel cells, water electrolysis, also deployments, some very notable activities in Alberta with the CPKC locomotive train deployment, which is world leading and very impressive, and also the zero emission truck combustion initiatives, as well as a very long standing carbon capture and sequestration project with the Shell Quest program. As far as where I'm focused on, I really see a lot of opportunities for me to support, Indian companies in their technology or product development. So these are activities I'm actively pursuing. I also see opportunities for some of my clients to deliver their products into the Indian market, as well as partner on different parts of the supply chain, whether that's electrolyzers or e-chemicals, e-fuels. I also feel in my role as a manufacturer's representative, I'll be able to support Indian companies going outside of India, but also bring in the latest technology into the Indian market. And I plan to be at IEW in January, so please let's connect. My connection information is here, and I'm sure this will be made available through the webinar afterwards. So thank you very much. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you so much, Mr. Frank. Very much appreciated that first presentation. I have good news for everyone. Mr. Vitor Marciano, the Chief of Staff to Alberta's Energy Minister, the Honorable Brian Jean, has now joined the webinar, and he had kindly agreed to bring greetings on behalf of the Government of Alberta. So, Mr. Marciano, welcome, and the floor is yours.
One moment. There we go. Good morning, everyone. Again, my apologies for being late. We had Calgary first day of winter traffic in Edmonton without having the first day of winter. It's very bizarre. I left my home at a time that usually gets me here in plenty of time, and today I was a good 10 minutes late. It's my pleasure to bring greetings on behalf of my boss, Minister Brian Jean, who's Alberta's Minister of Energy and Minerals, and on behalf of Premier Daniel Smith, whom I worked for many, many years. We're excited about the opportunity to do more business with India, and excited about the opportunity to work in the new energy spaces with Indian innovators and with major Indian companies. We think that the topic of this meeting on how hydrogen provides the opportunity to build an energy bridge is actually something that's useful for both our countries and our energy industries to be thinking about. And we, as a government, have been building out the hydrogen space for a while now. And I like to say building out because in many ways this is a project under construction. And there are many different ways to think about hydrogen. There's both the view of hydrogen as the transportation fuel that everybody's thinking about, as a fuel to decarbonize hard to decarbonize industries, and there's some amazing work that's happening in that space. There's the opportunity to use hydrogen as a substitute for other fuels and do so in a mechanism where you can do carbon capture and sequestration. And I think you're going to see some projects in that space happen in Alberta as hydrogen as fuel substitution. And then there's some really interesting opportunities that are starting to develop about doing hydrogen as a mechanism for preventing emissions in remote places. So as a government, we've been paying attention to all of these elements. Our government has a hydrogen roadmap for the different elements of the hydrogen industries, and we're actually in the process of updating it as we start to work our way through, measuring the strengths and weaknesses and the new opportunities flowing from what we've learned over the last 5 years of running the first hydrogen roadmap. I think David said it well. We're well positioned as a province to take advantage of some of these opportunities that other locations are not. Alberta's been doing carbon capture and sequestration now for almost 15 years. We're doing it. Us and Saskatchewan are really the only two places in the world that are doing it at scale. Everybody else is moving up in our direction. And we're doing it at scale at a very early stage. We have the ability to do it at scale at a much, much higher degree. And I think over the next several days, you will see an announcement between us and the federal government, which involves the Pathways Project, which will probably be both a gigantic carbon capture initiative, but it'll also be a gigantic hydrogen fuel switching initiative. Attached to some of the Pathways works will be switching over some major industrial installations and having them create hydrogen from natural gas, sequester the emissions, burn hydrogen as the fuel source to run industrial processes. Alberta's a world leader in that space. We literally have Dow working away at getting its process set up. I think you're going to see some Pathways projects go ahead that will do that at a very large scale. We have Air Products, who's busy building their hydrogen facility that is going to essentially provide the fuel switching for Imperial Oil's biodiesel facility. And so on the grand, broad industrial steps, we're progressing with that. On hydrogen as a transportation fuel, we're still in the early days, and like everybody else, we're trying to figure it out. Hydrogen as a transportation fuel is a very complicated chicken and egg problem. You want the chickens. Do you invest in the eggs? Do you invest in the chickens? You've got to invest in both at once. If you get it wrong, you lose all of your investment. Both us and California and British Columbia, to some extent Texas, are all kind of working on slightly different models to how to get there. I don't know that anybody's really figured it out yet, but ultimately it's going to come down to who makes the commitment to decarbonize on a big way, probably on starting with transport trucks and large fleet trucks to build the backbone, the architecture that will then allow hydrogen vehicles to take off. And we've watched with some interest what's happening over in Korea, where they've actually been able to create a bit of a passenger hydrogen fleet. And they've gone the passenger route first with large government subsidies, with limited industrial or limited commercial vehicle fleets. North America, everybody's going to assume that we're going to have to go the other way around. We'll watch and see how that happens. And then the third place that's really got our attention is the new and evolving technologies on new ways to create hydrogen, both the various ways of doing hydrogen pyrolysis, and then just recently watched a detailed presentation from a company called Thiazon, which is going to run their first plant in Alberta, their first actual pilot test project, and they're literally turning hydrogen from hydrogen sulfide. So when you drill for natural gas, sometimes the gas you find is what's called sour gas. It's dangerous. It's complicated to handle. If you get sour gas, you have to sort out the sour gas from your from your natural gas, and then usually you inject that sour gas back into the ground just to put it away safely. This company has a really interesting, the equivalent of a fuel cell that converts hydrogen sulfide to hydrogen and SO2. And then you dispose of the SO2, which is not nearly as dangerous as disposing of H2S, but in the process you get a lot of hydrogen. Well, that if their technology proves out, we think that there's going to be natural gas plants all over Alberta that will end up having these little engines in there that will convert the amounts of H2S that they get to hydrogen, and then use that hydrogen as one of the fuel sources for these gas plants, which becomes a really interesting experiment in remote places of, again, getting hydrogen, using hydrogen as a fuel. In this case, it's not a decarbonization play, but it's a depoisoning play, if you want to frame it that way. So there's a bunch of interesting innovations and technologies that we're paying attention to in my minister's shop. And we kind of think that Alberta's always been one of the places that's led the world in approaching new technologies and trying to get new innovations. And we think there's tremendous opportunities between us and India. And we just really think that India, with its tremendous developing industries, with its tremendous engineering power, can really work well with Alberta. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Marciano. We really appreciate you coming to provide your support and all of those insights. Also, one thing that I forgot to mention to all participants in my opening notes is that we are recording all of these webinars. The Alberta-India Chamber of Commerce does now have a YouTube channel. So within 10 days of today, we will have this full recording posted. So anyone who missed it or had to step away for a while will be able to see the full contents. So thank you again to everyone who has joined to help us with the speaking, and also those who are just attending to listen. It's now my pleasure to move on to our second speaker for this morning, and that is Mr. Arjun Godmer, a director and major shareholder with ARPE BV and a member of Task Force Dutch Energy. He is an energy sector leader with a great interest in expanding the market for sustainable energy products. Welcome to the webinar, Mr. Godmer. The floor is now yours. Mr. Godmer, you should be able to come off mute.
Yes.
There you are.
And okay. Yes, now we're good.
Very good.
Are we there? Yes. All right. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah? Okay. Thank you for having me. So honored to be here today. Mr. Pendra from India introduced me. So I'm based in Holland. So nothing to do with Alberta or India, but we provide service to get into the natural gases, green gases, and also we have a new battery that we are putting in the market. So let me first introduce the first project that we do together with Secured Supplies. So Secured Supplies is the CEO is Daniel Donatelli. He's the professional in the green gas industry. So we are looking for private-owned dams or hydro dams in Alberta to see that we can catch the overproduction of energy, and we produce green gases out of this energy. So up to even urea, which is great demanded by India. So we can produce green urea with our process, which we can make of energy that's a surplus on the dam. So we can offer the dam a PPA. There's a power purchase agreement. So we buy for a set of price. So we're not asking for any finance, but we require to have a PPA with the dam. And with this energy, we produce hydrogen, oxygen, and also urea and some other products on demand, but we can change the process as well. So this is a very interesting project. We have high efficient generators, which we use in the projects. And we have the electrolyzers, which we have designed ourselves. So we have a high efficiency on the electrolyzers, which then gives, of course, a good price for all the gases that we can produce with cheap energy. Having said that, it would be a great opportunity to see if we can get a dam owner to connect with us, preferably a private dam owner, and we can start with one project to show what we do, how it works, and how India and Alberta can benefit out of the trade that we can do with urea. So as I understand, Canada has enough fertilizer, so there's no shortage on fertilizer, so that's good. So we can use the surplus energy to create a product which is in high demand in India. Oh, sorry, are we still here? Oh, I'm getting here. All right. I got a phone call in between. Sorry. So that's one project that we would like to see if we can establish that in Alberta. Then the other project that we have is a sustainable battery, which is made together with a German company and the Dutch university. So it's a nanotechnology battery. So it doesn't require any rare earth metals. So that's great. And it's a printable battery. So we can print a battery in any size, any form. And we have a tremendous amount of cycles. So we are now aiming for January to produce the first big battery. So the battery will be firstly used in the industry. So the industry, we will make containers of 1 to 5 megawatts, which you can use as storage. You can use it as a grid stabilization, or you can use it as a storage and supply of energy. So we also have the software that you can implement it in the network. So you can make money on cheap tariffs and high demands, and you can get the picture. So this battery, why is it so special? One, it's printed battery. There's no chemicals and no rare earth materials, and it has a tremendously amount of cycles. So this is new tech. So we go up to 100,000 cycles, which is insane, and even after the 100,000, the battery is like new. So that's great. I see my time is almost up. So what do I want to say more? Yeah, well, we're happy if we can connect with any private dam owners. And Mr. David, I saw that you also sent me an invite on my LinkedIn, which is great. So we'll sure be in contact later for supply and products. We can have a chit chat, and we have many more. But let's stick to this. So thank you very much, and let's see what we can do. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gottmer. And isn't it fantastic that we can now have these international webinars with you doing it from your car? So I just absolutely love that that's a possibility. So thank you so much for joining us this morning. I'm going to just ask, I know that there are some people joining from phone, and so potentially the names don't line up. Our next speaker is to be Mr. Grant Strem, but we're not immediately seeing him in the list. Mr. Strem, are you on the line? Okay, not hearing him, we will go to the next speaker, Ms. Neetu Prasad. So Neetu Prasad is the team lead for pipeline and regulatory with Solaris MCI. She has acquired more than 30 years in the oil and gas engineering consulting and owner-operated companies. She is currently heading the pipeline and regulatory group in Solaris Management Consultants, where she has expertise in engineering design, project implementation, and operations of upstream and downstream natural gas, blended oil, and many other sectors. Her experience ranges from designing, constructing, and working with large diameter cross-country pipelines to smaller distribution systems, thermal pipelines, and city area pipelines. Welcome to the webinar, Ms. Prasad. The floor is now yours, and I know that you did have some slides, so if you just give me 30 seconds, I will bring that up right away. Thank you.
Thanks, Anushka. While you're bringing up the slides, I'll just say just a few more words in the sense that yes, Anushka talked so many things about me, and just also add that I've had experience with Coastal GasLink. I was engineer on record for that. That's a 48-inch diameter pipeline across two mountain ranges going from the east side of BC to the Kitimat LNG plant. That is one big experience of a big pipeline, which is useful for the world. And another one, I have been on Pathways pipeline project as well for the past 2.5 years. I was there from CNRL side as reviewing all the work by the consultant at that time for the design. So from an owner's perspective, I know what the Pathways pipeline project also means. And currently with Solaris, I am on different pipeline projects, and we do project development, project engineering, EPC kind of work as well. In the past, for 16 years, I've lived in India. On GAIL, I worked in GAIL, Gas Authority of India Limited. For 16 years, I worked there. So I know the system in India, the system here. I've worked in pipelines in both countries. And so I do see a lot of opportunity here where India and Canada can collaborate together for many big projects in future.
And sorry, you can see that your slide is now up, right?
Oh,
So
yes, thank you.
Just tell me when
Yeah.
to advance, please.
Yes, so today, because it is more about hydrogen, so I just thought of talking about two small little things. And one is about pipelines for energy transition from natural gas to hydrogen, and clean hydrogen hub that we are designing and installing from Solaris's side. So the next slide, Anushka, it's essentially about what is the relevance of pipelines for future fuels. Everybody's talking about transition to different fuels, and we have invested, everybody's invested so much on pipelines. So what will become of these existing oil and gas infrastructure? Can these pipelines be used is one of the questions that everybody has. And we all know that it is the safest and most sustainable way to transport any large amount of resource, avoiding the roads, rails. And the thing is that, yes, we can have existing pipeline infrastructure retrofitted to transport hydrogen or carbon, the CO2 captured carbon, biofuels or more. There is one thing, of course, new pipelines to be built for hydrogen that has its own engineering concept, engineering, development, and construction. That is one thing, and that is, of course, going to be there in future. But can we transform our existing pipeline assets for the needs of the future? Yes, we must repurpose this infrastructure. And so while we may not need as many new pipelines for oil and gas products, we will need them to transport other resources. And these could include hydrogen, carbon dioxide, biofuels, etc. Anushka, next slide. So hydrogen, because it does not produce carbon dioxide, it is a clean fuel, and mainly natural gas pipelines can be to some extent converted to transport hydrogen. A small amount of blend can be used, so you can blend hydrogen into the natural gas. And currently, we have come up to this that, okay, we can blend small amounts, but in future, we hope that with more research, we can do a lot more. The amount of carbon, the amount of hydrogen that will be added to the natural gas can be increased. There are a few things that we must note, and that is that the hydrogen molecules are smaller. There are chances of leakages if we use the existing pipelines, which are old pipelines, and so they will need to be upgraded with seals and pumps and compression stations need to be upgraded. Hydrogen can lead to cracking, like the presence of hydrogen in the pipeline reduces the resistance of the pipeline in terms of cracking, for stress corrosion cracking. And so traditionally, we've always had that, okay, we have to not have hydrogen so that we can avoid cracking, but we can with some engineering assessments and safely manage the metallurgy of the pipelines, and we can have some amount of blended hydrogen in the existing pipelines as well. And because hydrogen has a lower calorific value, so we might have to increase the flow rate in the pipelines to come up to the same kind of calorific value. So these are some things that we have to take care of when we are doing engineering, but these are not impossible things. These are things that we are working on, and we hope to do much more in future in this realm. There is a lot of opportunity for Alberta to export blended hydrogen to in a natural gas pipeline. I know that, for instance, Enbridge is already doing a little bit of blending, like a 2% blending. And also, we know that in our organization in Solaris, we have a person already, a committee member in the CSA for hydrogen pipelines. So we know that we can do this kind of engineering. Just a little bit to round off, yes, Solaris also is involved in a hydrogen project in BC though, but we can do it anywhere, and it's a clean hydrogen hub along with a university, the Simon Fraser University, and it is coming up, bringing together industry, community, academia, and government partners to advance clean energy. It apart from production, it will also serve as a global nexus for research, innovation, and collaboration. So in that kind of field, if anyone needs to do research in hydrogen, there is this clean hydrogen hub in BC in SFU, which will help provide that platform. Thank you. If you have any questions, there are so many other things that we can share, but we have limited time.
Thank you so much, Ms. Prasad. That was very informative. So very much appreciate you being on the line today. Our original third speaker, Mr. Strem, has now joined, so I'm going to ask him to come on now. Mr. Grant Strem is the founder and director of Strem Energy Incorporated. He believes it is equally important that energy is abundant and clean. He is a curious, creative, and results-driven executive who has founded and led several businesses reputed for successful exploration, affordable clean hydrogen from oil fields, and policy and business strategy evaluation. Welcome to the webinar, Mr. Strem. The floor is now yours.
Thank you very much. I'd just like to talk for a moment about hydrogen. So yes, as you mentioned, I started a hydrogen from oil fields company in 2015, where the main concept is adding oxygen into a large oil field. And the oil field doesn't have to be economic in terms of oil production. It just has to have a lot of fuel in place, because moving viscous oil molecules through the rocks to a production wellbore is not always technically or economically possible. But moving oxygen or gases around in the same oil field usually is. So we have in Alberta more than 2 trillion barrels of oil, of which only about 200 billion are technically considered economically recoverable reserves. So what do we do with this other 1.8 trillion or more barrels of remaining oil that we can't economically extract? I believe that worldwide, Alberta as well, the future is going to have increasing amounts of basically oxygenated oil fields, where one of the byproducts of these high temperature reactions in the ground is actually the production of hydrogen. And CO2 can be transformed in the same pore volume as carbonate rock by adjusting the pH. So we did some demos in relation to this in Saskatchewan in previous years between 2017 and 2023. And I believe that I'm aware of other projects around the world that are starting to implement this, usually with pure oxygen injection instead of air injection. And this will create a massive boost to the supply of clean hydrogen. So as the previous speaker mentioned, moving hydrogen around it's not without challenges. The existing pipe infrastructure, yes, some can go into it. It's always a question of metallurgy and pressure. And that's true. And for more than 10 years, I've been suggesting to pipeline companies that the overall incremental cost when you're building a brand new pipeline or expanding a new segment of pipeline, it's about 2% different to get the nickel-rich metallurgy that's required generally to do that. So most of the cost is mobilization, welders, the manufacturing, and all these other things. And just by shifting the metallurgy to something slightly more expensive in terms of overall project cost, kind of helps to future-proof the infrastructure that goes into the ground. So yes, there are sleeves and things that can be done and added to certain pipelines, but often those pipelines are being used for other things at larger capacity. And as hydrogen is fluffier, it's something that, it might be more advantageous to, when you make a new, for example, oil pipeline, create it with hydrogen compatible metallurgy and make it a little too large, knowing that in the future it's going to be likely converted to use for hydrogen service. Another aspect is that there are fertilizers that depend on this abundant low-cost hydrogen, and it's fairly easy to move hydrogen around into an existing market using existing equipment. So ammonia is just nitrogen and hydrogen. And if you're injecting oxygen into these oil fields, the idea is you take the nitrogen that you separate out of the air, combine it with the hydrogen, and sell it as ammonia or ammonia derivative products such as urea. You can also use hydrogen in manufacturing methanol, and it's already got a big market in any case. So anyway, I'm a big proponent about the future of hydrogen in Alberta and around the world. It matches policy, and it also matches technical expectations and, in my opinion, economic expectations. I believe hydrogen can be made at lower cost than natural gas in almost anywhere on the planet. So anyways, probably, I guess it's a fairly constrained time frame here, so I'll just leave it there for now, and happy to take questions if some come up.
Great. Thank you so much for your comments, Mr. Strem. Our fifth speaker this morning is Mr. Jag Singh. Mr. Singh is an experienced engineer with over 10 years of combined experience in the hydrogen industry and designing and building fully automated plants with data analytics. With an industrial systems engineering background, he has helped to develop projects in Canada, the USA, and Europe. Mr. Singh has the skills and experience to help sustainably make carbon-negative renewable hydrogen and electricity accessible today. Welcome to the webinar, Mr. Singh. The floor is now yours.
Thank you, Anushka. Thank you for arranging this as well. Glad to be here. I have some slides I guess I could share. So Golu Hydrogen Technologies is the name of our company. Golu H2 is the name of our technology, and it's renewable hydrogen from ethanol. So we started in 1998, about 25 years ago, making custom contract pharmaceuticals, so different than other energy companies. And then we moved into energy from a chemicals perspective. So basically changing the way it's done using catalysts and process design. We commercialized our liquid fuel technologies in 2009. We licensed it to Shell in 2016, and we now have sustainable aviation fuel, jet fuel, renewable diesel, biodiesel from oils, and hydrogen from ethanol. So we're the first company in the world to commercialize this. So we are working with many partners around the world, and more recently, particularly remote communities, indigenous communities, and our technology, much like the other speakers, tries to solve the problems of moving hydrogen, which is difficult, and we then generate it renewably using ethanol. So ethanol and water goes through our reactor. This is our 50 kg a day demo system. We then purify the hydrogen with PSA to fuel cell grade. We also purify the CO2 that's remaining, so we have green CO2 as a byproduct. And the tail gases provide enough heat energy. It's a thermocatalytic reaction to keep the reaction going. So we use very little water, so 95% less water than electrolysis and SMR. And we use no electricity in the actual chemistry. The process itself is just to push the ethanol and water into the reactor. So there's many different use cases. We've had flex energy. We thought transportation would be the first, but as Mr. Marciano was saying, it's kind of slow to adopt because it's a chicken and egg scenario. So what we thought was the first thing is kind of pushed to later, and now we're looking at hydrogen to decarbonize natural gas streams. So like data centers, we're looking to be carbon neutral. Our hydrogen is carbon negative because we capture about 8 kilograms of CO2 per kilogram of hydrogen, and that results in carbon negative hydrogen, carbon negative power, and CO2. So blending about 31% into a natural gas stream for turbine will result in net zero emissions. Remote communities are really looking for solutions like microgrids that will be able to provide power, but then we'll also have the CO2. So there's a vertical greenhouse, vertical farming partners we have that will then be able to put modular. So we're looking at a project to have a modular vertical farm co-located next to a community to provide power, food for the community, and as a byproduct from the electricity production process, we end up with pure H2O water as well. So many different applications. Comparing to direct air capture systems, I was just in Iceland recently to speak about this. So we capture about 10 tons of CO2 with our standard 40-foot container, and that's the equivalent of about 15 megawatt hours of power. So overall efficiencies, we're nearing 100% efficiency with those numbers with our system. So comparing, ethanol as a delivery or a medium for hydrogen, it's much higher efficiency, much more energy dense, and much lower cost. And when you're looking at the CO2 impact, we're well beyond any other existing technologies, and in particular, northern communities that are using diesel to power them, we could get them off of that. So we're exploring that as well, since ethanol doesn't freeze until over minus 100 degrees Celsius. So we're looking at comparing other green hydrogen systems. We'd replace about 43 football fields or 57 acres of solar panels with one unit, which is a 40-foot container, and a 40-foot truck delivery of ethanol every 5.5 days for 24/7 renewable power generation that's carbon negative. Looking at smart load management or peak load, peak shaving, we can get power to 6 cents a kilowatt hour or even less now because ethanol's cost has dropped. And this is this is the standard duck curve, which is true for California, true for Alberta and most other places. There's a peak of power demand in the evening, and that's when the solar panels aren't available or solar power is not available. And that's what we would come in and we can help mitigate those high traffic times and congested times for power lines and the grids that are kind of saturated. So looking at long duration energy storage, ethanol is completely non-toxic, it's readily available commodity, and it's renewable. And we can store a gigawatt hour power in an $80,000 tank, which is 90,000 gallons of ethanol, which would be about $200,000 worth of ethanol. And that would be the equivalent of 50 tons of hydrogen, which is about $50 million of storage, or a gigawatt hour in a battery, which would be about $1 billion, including the balance plant. So it's a much more compact system. We're solving many of the issues. So most hydrogen today is made with natural gas. We're using ethanol. It's carbon negative. Natural gas has its own footprint, although pyrolysis and other technologies have promise. We utilize existing infrastructure, so liquid fuel infrastructure already exists. You can tap into that to just move ethanol, store ethanol on site safely, and it's quite easy to transport as well. We have another technology, which was for our biodiesel to make jet fuel. We just feed our hydrogen system into existing waste oils or biodiesels into our reactor and fractionate it to about 71% sustainable aviation fuel and a small amount of sustainable renewable diesel and renewable gasoline. So we've had many awards recently. We're lucky enough for that. We have a great team of scientists and international people that have been around for a while. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Mr. Singh. That was fantastic. Really appreciate that.
You're
Well,
welcome.
we're coming to the end of our webinar. We've got one speaker left, so thank you everyone so much for your attention this morning. It's my great pleasure now to introduce Mr. David Yeager. Mr. Yeager is an oil service executive, entrepreneur, author, and energy policy analyst. Since 1971, he has worked in multiple oil service sector segments with the primary focus of wellbore construction, production optimization, remediation, and abandonment. He currently serves on the board of directors for the Alberta Energy Regulator and also holds the position of special advisor to the Premier of Alberta, focused on the province's mature asset strategy. Welcome to the webinar, Mr. Yeager. The floor is now yours.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity and good morning. Boy, this is fascinating, all the different things you can do with hydrogen. But I just thought a lot of people, talk about hydrogen like it's a thing, like it's an available thing. But I just want to point out that watch why they call them hydrocarbons. Grant Strem made a really good point. How much hydrogen is there? Well, it's unlimited because it is the H in all hydrocarbon fuels, and it is also a key element of refining. That's why they call it hydrocracking. And so in Fort Saskatchewan, we have been a massive producer of hydrogen for years. We make hydrogen locally. It's blue hydrogen at this point because that's been the most cost effective. But we add hydrogen molecules to the whole hydrocracking chain and create these other things. So I think it's been around longer than people think. But the issue to me is and it was brought up by the other speakers, but I want to stress this because a few years ago I was asked to do the program for the Global Petroleum show. It's unfortunately was canceled by COVID. But what I wanted to do was split the hydrocarbon molecule into hydrogen and carbon. Obviously, the carbon part is what to do with the carbon molecule is well known. Graphene and all these chemicals. The guys that actually make it, most of the graphene materials, composites that are made out of carbon, come out of Pennsylvania, out of coal country. But when you split the molecule, and the one thing they've touched on is it's been covered, but I don't think people understand the complexity of it, is moving it around. For example, liquid hydrogen, you have to get it to minus 253 degrees Celsius to liquefy it when absolute zero is minus 273. So liquefying is very, very, very carbon intensive. The other idea was, as mentioned, mix it with hydrogen to make ammonia, ship it in ammonia, and then take it apart again. And so that's very bad too. But the one area as a service guy, and one of the areas that I would encourage the entrepreneurs on the call and the technical people is to start thinking if there was a mass adoption of hydrogen, if the fuel cell, the hydrogen engines that many people are working on came into being, if hydrogen got more common as a mix for a fuel as we work through the metallurgy, as one speaker said, we have to look at several said look at the metallurgy and pipelines. There's also going to be, as hydrogen expands, a great market in valves, plumbing, fittings, storage tanks. For example, if you did have liquid hydrogen and you wanted to move it around, you need, because of the nature of the molecules, which have been well covered by some of the previous speakers, you need specialized tanks, vessels, plumbing, valves, fittings. We're really, really good at this in Alberta, but this is the sort of thing that the whole world's going to need, and something I'm sure that ingenious people in this growing India-Alberta relationship should be thinking more of. So as all the steps are done on the hydrogen side, I don't believe it's going to be practical even though we've got gobs of hydrogen, unlimited quantities of hydrogen in Alberta for India's perspective, so what? The whole point is you're going to have to make it locally. I thought that was interesting, making hydrogen from ethanol, but there's still the elimination of the carbon dioxide molecule. They talked about sequestration, which is great if you have it. But I was just thinking of how would India have the opportunity to expand the hydrogen opportunity, and that's what's going to take us in different directions when where this conversation is going. To say that we've got great things we're doing in Alberta, what to do with hydrogen, I think the point is you're going to have to figure out how to make hydrogen as close to possible as a source. The last presentation on a portable hydrogen generator using ethanol, very clever. But what's ethanol? Ethanol is a hydrocarbon. Where are we going to get the ethanol? So I would say that India has a lot of coal, And so I would just divert as much attention to supply of hydrogen and the handling of hydrogen as all the things you can do with it once it exists. So I just basically, I was really, really impressed. I'm glad I got the invitation to speak here today. I thought that the group of technical presenters that have come through of all the different things you can do with hydrogen from fuel cells and so on. But at the end of the day, I'm an oil and gas guy, oil and gas service people. You have to get it out and move it around. And so I would be looking at sources of hydrogen in India, whether or not some of the things you said there are transferable, and more importantly, on a global opportunity, as hydrogen develops, there's going to be a great number of things that don't exist. We heard about it, the pipeline with a little more nickel in the steel, retrofitting pipelines. How are we going to get this, commercially in the home because of the molecular quantities? So I think we should be looking at not as hydrogen as it still remains an opportunity and a great one, but we got a bunch of details to work through. Thank you very much for the opportunity to wrap up here this morning.
Thank you so much, Mr. Yeager. And I couldn't help but notice your framed Gretzky jersey in the background. So hopefully you're going to provide
I'm
some
a
good luck
Flames
for
fan. That was actually
Oh.
I had to buy that at an auction. A friend of mine's son had a silent auction when his son passed away tragically, and the only thing everybody else was buying his car. The rich guys were buying his old Mustang for 50 grand. The only thing I could afford was a framed Gretzky poster. So
Well,
I can't wear that in downtown Calgary, but it's safe.
from a Calgarian, I am going to take that as a sign of hope for our hockey team, which has been
Hey,
struggling this fall.
I
So
thought we were lost to, Alberta's, we had both. What happened to our team? I'm sorry, this is completely off topic, but gee, we were both doing so good last year. Holy cow. Take it away, hostess.
we are going to turn it around. So I just wanted to thank you for the show of support from our enemy territory here in the province. So thank you to absolutely everyone who came on as a speaker for us this morning. It was an absolutely fantastic webinar, very informative on so many different fronts. We are just coming up to time. I know we went a bit longer than we had planned. So I will see if we have time for one question, but I do want to make sure that we stick to the 60 minutes that we had promised everyone. So I have not seen anything come through in the chat. I will just invite if there are any questions out there. Hopefully we can get one in before we just go to closing comments. Is there anyone that wanted to input a question into the chat for any of our speakers? Not seeing anything, I will then thank you very much for your participation this morning. And before we officially close, I am going to invite my colleague, Dr. Vandana Srivastava, to come on board. She is the president for what will be our soon-to-be launched India operations with the Alberta-India Chamber of Commerce. So, Dr. Vandana, please take it away.
Good evening and good morning to everyone joining us today. On behalf of the Alberta-India Chamber of Commerce, India chapter and Canada chapter, I sincerely thank all our speakers and participants for being part of this important energy webinar part 1. Today's webinar gave us valuable insight about the energy opportunities between India and Canada. Both our countries have strong potential to work together in areas like hydrogen, renewable energy, technology exchange, sustainable development. Your ideas today help us build a bridge between our two nations and encourage new partnerships. So if anybody is having any question, they can send it to Anushka or anybody, or they can directly mail us on info@albertaindiacc.ca. Please let us know if you are attending India Energy Week, which is in the end of January, from 27 to 31st of January. So we will be happy to know if you are a part of that. And if you want to attend, so we can help you. We are taking our delegation. We can help you in diplomatic relationship. We can do the licensing. We can help you in transaction. So do let us know if you need any such support. And thank you all the speakers. Thanks a lot to our Honorable Energy Minister for his support. Honorable Shane, His Excellency Masakoi. They are always supporting us, though they are not here today. Thank you. Thank you very much, Anushka. Thanks.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Vandana. And again, thank you to absolutely everyone who joined. If you are interested in becoming a member of the Alberta-India Chamber of Commerce, you can visit our website, albertaindiacc.ca. There is an online membership form there, and we certainly encourage you all to sign up as members as we get the chamber going. So again, thank you very much. Good morning or good evening, depending on where you are. We hope you have enjoyed this morning's webinar. Again, you will find the full recording on our YouTube channel within the next 2 weeks, and we wish you all a good day. Thank you very much.